What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Kevin Prolicks TV. Boy, do I got one for you. Check this out. Should I stay? All right, tell us more. This is making me so sad right now. We have been together for 10 years, married for 8. We're both 32. Since the beginning, he would put me down despite being pretty attractive. At one point, I had someone I only talked to once in a tournament obsessed with me for months to the point of stalking me. It was scary. But still, since my husband was my first relationship, I believed him. All right, pause. He would put you down in the beginning, and you stayed. Why? Come on, what the hell? That was your first mistake. Continuing on. Years later, I found out about negging, and in a few fights, he admitted on his own without me mentioning it that this was the reason he was doing it, so he could control me. Okay, holy cow. All right. And it worked, apparently. I changed things about me to make him like me. I obeyed all his wishes. Still not enough. What the hell? Okay, I'm guessing you like being degraded. Continuing on. I wasn't without fault either. I have bipolar disorder, and all the putting down and controlling cheated created such a rage inside me. I became verbally abusive and would say really harsh things to him, and we would fight. I never did that before to anyone, and I don't believe I would if he didn't insult me constantly and make me feel like I was not worthy. But it still eats me away, and I feel guilty for all the things I said. Okay, wait a second. You're feeling guilty. Okay, yeah. I guess maybe he said some things to hurt you, but you're feeling guilty? Wait a second. I'm catching you didn't tell us the full story here. Anyway, he would eventually start only complimenting me, but his compliments meant nothing since he already spent 2 years putting me down at that point. So I don't believe anything he said still, and I still don't. After I had my daughter 6 years ago, I went to her bedroom for 6 months to take care of her. When the 6 months passed, he didn't invite me back to our bedroom. Wait, pause. Why'd you spend so much time in your daughter's room? Basically, that tells him, yeah, I got my baby. Fuck you. All right, anyway. It says, I didn't mention it, but it devastated me. Our sex life was only constant the first 2 years, then it slowed down and eventually almost stopped after I gave birth. He doesn't initiate and doesn't care about it, except for maybe 3 to 4 times out of the year max. All right, so let's see. You were active before the baby, and then you had the baby, and then it all dropped off. And now you're saying he doesn't care for it unless 3 to 4 times a year per max. Is it too much to say that maybe you chose to do what you did and now he's just reacting? Like, you shut it down for 6 months. Granted, you had a baby, but I don't know. What did you say, and how did this all go down to where 6 months goes by and he's like, nah, don't even come back in the room? Like, I don't know. Maybe we're not getting the full story here. Anyway, here we go. Once he told me he was disgusted by me, my personality, and that this is why he doesn't sleep with me. Bingo! Another person. Continuing on. He didn't let me go to work because he was jealous, and this opened an awful can of worms where he would insult me for doing nothing, being useless, and that no other wife contributed nothing like me, despite taking care of the child and being a really, really good and active parent. I have a really strong support system and still chose to raise my kid almost alone. She's really happy and well-adjusted. Really the only good thing in my life. He never changed a diaper, never fed her. Hold up. He's making the money to put a roof over your house and give the things that you guys have. Never fed her? The work he's doing is basically feeding her. Anyway, continuing on. When I'd say I'm really tired and need help, he would say he's really tired from work and it's on me since I don't work. He works very few hours and has a really flexible schedule. Some days I wouldn't sleep for 48 hours straight. I'm still on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Still, no help. Really? Anyway, I wanted to leave since month 1 of our relationship, but he wouldn't let me. He would manipulate me, force me, love bomb me, threaten to kill himself, you name it. I was never truly happy with him, mostly because he didn't really want me, and I felt it. Why he made so many tries to make me stay with him, I'll never know. I don't know how I was manipulated to create a family with someone I didn't want to be with, but I did. Maybe you like being degraded. Like deep down, you're like, yes, daddy, please smack me around. Please treat me like shit. You know? What the hell? Anyway, this brings us to the present. 4 months ago, showed me something on his cell phone, but he got really scared and anxious for some reason. I never snooped, and I always respected his privacy. But deep down, I felt like he wasn't faithful. He's a really good liar and won't admit when asked, only if caught red-handed, and you have to have proof. But I got a gut feeling that day, and I had already seen his password when he opened his cell phone. So when he left, I went ahead and snooped. First time I did in my life. Nothing in his messages, calls, etc. He always wipes his cell phone clean. No dating apps either. But I went to his Instagram and saw 2 messages that morning. He told both of them he really liked them and that he wanted to get to know them. My stomach dropped. I felt like I would die in that instant. I was crushed. He came home and I confronted him. He refused everything, despite me mentioning the names of the women. Like I knew impossible details. There's no way I could have guessed that. He still lied. I cannot lie for the life of me. How can someone look you in the eyes and betray you like this without any ounce of guilt? It wasn't until I said I snooped on his phone that he admitted. I was crying, and instead of being apologetic, he blamed me for snooping, saying I didn't have the right and that he would just get a divorce. And that we should just get a divorce, like I meant nothing. So I lost it. Cheating is one thing, but treating me like dirt on your shoe, like I was alone in that marriage, clearly I was, is diabolical. It broke me. I had an episode where I became insanely angry. I said awful things and became physical. I'm not proud of it. I was devastated. Okay, you became physical now, so you smacked him up? What'd you do? You stabbed him? What do you mean by physical? Anyway, he left, and when he came back, he refused to talk about it. Okay, what did you do? Despite me crying and breaking down and being a shell of myself, what did you do? Okay, granted, him saying words to you is a lot different than you putting hands on him. I told him, I want the truth. How many women did you send messages to like this? How many times did you sleep with them? He refused everything. Said it's nothing. That it was the first time he sent these messages. Yeah, okay. It never got physical. Yeah, right. That I overreacted over nothing. And it was such a silly thing. Downplaying it like it was so awful. He refused to talk about it any further. And only would become annoyed and blame me for reacting badly. And that I kept talking about it. Eventually, I called my parents. We don't have a good relationship, but they're always there for me. I packed my things and went to their home. First, 24 to 48 hours, he said nothing. But then he started telling me he misses me. The home was empty without me. I'm still not convinced he didn't just miss our kid. I was going crazy, wanting to find out the truth that he didn't share. So I tried logging into his Instagram. It was blocked because I didn't have his password. So I called him and asked for his password. And he told me he was a little hesitant to give it to me, but eventually I broke him down and he gave it to me. I downloaded the history, but to my disappointment, no messages. Only who he followed, who he searched for, and who he left comments for. But there's one comment and one reply to a story. Nothing crazy. He said, I love you under one post, and to another, drink your protein. Still, the I love you comment broke my heart. Okay. So he's thirsty for some Instagram hoes. All right. Anyway, I was with him when the history was downloaded. So I decided to go all in and bluff. I was really upset about the I love you comment, and he saw my reaction. I started trembling and explained I just downloaded his history and everything he had ever done, all the messages he sent, right in front of me. He's not tech savvy at all, so he panicked. I never saw him react in that way. He accused me of lying and tricking him and got angry and panicked. I doubled down and told him he left me no choice. So he either comes clean and tells me everything, or I'd read the messages on my own. But I preferred to hear from him. I was really upset about the I love you comment, and I wanted to know so bad. So he sat down and spilled everything, that he messaged 15 to 20 women maxed over the period of 2 years. And all the messages were respectful, and he didn't say anything dirty. I read the two and caught him with it in his tracks, and he was respectful there, but it was never physical. I just can't believe that. I believed him though, because at the time he would pause and wouldn't respond. I would say leave, I would say, leave and I will read them on my own. And he would panic and scream, don't do it, and then just answer all my questions. I'm fairly certain I learned the truth that day. He had arguments on why he wouldn't cheat and didn't want to expose me or him to possible illnesses. And he didn't want me to find out and leave him, didn't want to have the people make fun of me, etc. Now, one where he said I never really wanted to, and that fact broke me in my heart. Still, I was so relieved he didn't physically cheat. But I made him list all things he should do if he wanted to get back together with me, like having a location always on, never lying, talking it through, etc. He was happy and okay to accept the location part, and almost relieved I'd had a way to prove his innocence. It still showed me he didn't really want to become physical with anyone. He also had a request he never accepted and told me it was just from one woman who flirted with him once and then found him on Insta, but he didn't accept it because he didn't want to give her any hints. He's really handsome, so if he wanted to cheat, he could, I guess. Also, one of the women he sent a message to had 7 million followers. It's not like he wasn't trying too hard. Okay. But I was glad we could talk through it. Still wanted him because I still love him. So I waited for him to talk about it. But he always came back with excuses. I'm sick. I had a hard week. We'll talk about it after I complete this. Meanwhile, I was heartbroken and would cry myself to sleep. He would brush me off like nothing happened. I would cry and say, I can't believe you don't care about trying for us. And he would say, I don't care. I'm devastated. He would make excuses and I would become angry. Once he sent a really big heartfelt message where he explained everything. He said I was really attractive. He didn't need anything else from anyone, but he did it for the thrill and excitement. I also neglected him and he needed the attention. I never neglected him. I just kept my distance because he would reject me. Are you sure about that? Because back in the beginning of the story, you said you left the room for, what was that, 6 months? And then another part where you said you got physical. What aren't you telling us? Anyway, 4 months had passed, and the most I got was a message one time a few weeks ago where he talked about it for 30 minutes. When I pressed him, he says he doesn't want to talk about it because he's ashamed and at fault that he truly wants me back and will accept my terms. But I can't shake the feeling that he doesn't really care. I cried so many times and so many months, and he didn't even support me. I want to leave, and I love him so much, but this is the only relationship I've ever known. I wish he was better to me. I'm also scared of becoming a single mom. What will people say? All these passive-aggressive comments. Also, my kid will be raised in a broken home. I'm so conflicted and sad. Am I kidding myself? I feel so alone, and I am also to blame for myself. I'm also to blame myself here. Maybe if I never said harsh things during our fights, this wouldn't have happened. Anyway, thanks for listening. Let me know what you think. Bruh! Excuse me. What the hell? Okay, let's say this story is 100% true, and nothing is false, and this isn't fake. And this guy was really a piece of shit. And she was also the best mom, and the most loving partner, and the best wife ever. Let's assume all that's true. Damn, this guy's a piece of shit. Why did you leave in the beginning? You stayed. He showed you who he was, but you stayed. All right. Now let's assume that this isn't all true. This is a fake story, probably. That maybe she's stretching the truth, not giving the full story. Let's assume that. All right. Yeah. The guy's still a piece of shit, but I don't think you're less of a piece of shit either. Come on. He told you who he was in the beginning. He treated you like shit and you stayed. You were 22 at the time. Last time I checked, that was an adult. And last time I checked, I knew since I was could form memories when someone was talking shit to me and being an ass, you know? Come on. You were an adult by then. You could have said, hey, no. But this is why I go back to the comment I made before. I think you like being degraded. I think you like when someone's treating you like shit. And that's why you stayed. Okay, granted, maybe this was her first relationship. She said someone else was stalking her to the point that they liked her so much. I don't know if that's just her hubris or maybe it really happened. I don't know. But hey, you says you're attractive in here. I don't know what that means. Anyway, let's see some comments. I think she's cooked though. One person says, hey, you OP, you deserve better. And of course, you're scared of leaving. But eventually, it will come to the point where you will wish you would have left sooner. You really need to make some moves now. Talk to a counselor, talk to a lawyer, and have some time alone to think about it. Opie says, I already talked to a lawyer a few months ago, but I wasn't ready to proceed with it. Thank you for your encouragement. Another person says, never stay. Another person says, I seriously doubt there was no physical cheating, and what you're experiencing is full-on abuse from this man. A man that would still be cheating if you didn't catch him. My guess is you're dealing with a serial cheater, and you're one by one discovering the fact through his breadcrumbs. Well, this will not end good. It's never any black hole. Why don't you just leave? All right, one more. Opie, I've been married for 38 years, and I could never in my wildest dreams continue in our marriage if this is what you described. What is the goal here? If you think belittling someone and tearing them down is going to grow your relationship and make your bond stronger, then you are sorely mistaken. I'm not hearing you describe any acts of love, no physical affection, tender touches, no date nights. His lack of support and that you just deal with it is appalling. Yes, he works, but that is also his daughter, and he should just want to help. Kicking you out of the bedroom, in my opinion, was the death of your relationship, and this is flat out rejection of you. Anyway, I think we heard enough. What do y'all think? Is she cooked? I think she's hella cooked. Anyway, you made your bed. You probably don't have to lie in it. Hey, you got choice. You can leave, have some more respect for yourself, admit that this is not what you want, and then your daughter could grow up in a relationship or in a house or in a way so she sees, okay, yeah, this is how my mother got loved, and this is how I want to be loved. You know, show good examples now to your daughter as opposed to later when she's seeing bad examples. Another thing. Okay, yeah, in the beginning, he told you all these things that you didn't like and you stayed. Okay, that tells me you like being degraded. Why don't you accept that fact of yourself, and then maybe things can get better. Like, hey, treat me like shit and I'll love you more. Another thing. All right, yeah, back to your kid. All right, you got a kid now. Let's stop kidding ourselves. Obviously, this guy wants to go see some other stuff because he doesn't feel safe with you. Like attention, how touch-starved, how affection-starved was this guy to you to even go in this route? Like, come on. Another thing, maybe you weren't the best partner. Obviously, both of y'all are pretty shit because obviously you wouldn't be writing about this, right? Anyway, this has been another episode of Kevin Prolix TV. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll catch you on the next one.